This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the foster. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Adam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
That's right. Once again, it's showtime. Wednesday, September 6th. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show, right here, like clockwork, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing. So far, so good, right? I hope everybody is doing well. Believe me when I tell you that I've been looking forward to tonight's show since the night I finished last week's show. I have. And I'm going to explain that to you in a minute. Because, again, I always think I have a plan, and then life throws different plans at you. You have to learn how to adjust. Again, this is not life or death or anything like that. Well, actually, it kind of is for some, but not for, some. But anyway, I'm going to talk about this in a minute. The weather here in Southern California has kind of gotten to that, how do you say it? Oh, perfect. Not too hot, not too cold. A little bit of a breeze blowing. I know there's other parts of the country that are still going through a lot of heat. It'll all come together. Just hang in there. There's pros and cons to living in Southern California. The weather's the pro. The cons are everything else is going to cost you. Believe me. Anyway, there's lots to get to tonight. A lot of stuff to get to, and here's what's going down. Hang on. Ooh. Smooth. Last week, I touched on the fires of Maui and Burning Man. There were two topics. I said that the month of September, I was going to go into. There's so many things going on in our world that are so messed up. It's endless. I have lists. There's literally a small pile of things to talk about. And it's only an hour show, hour plus every week. So last week, I decided, you know what? Current, and tragedy, Maui fires. So I chose to talk about that because something doesn't sit right with me with those fires. Now, there's a lot of things that don't sit right with me with a lot of issues that are going on in this world, this country, our government, a lot of things. And you can agree or disagree with me. I just try to put things out there, whether you agree or disagree. If you will listen, perhaps you'll just go, wow, that's a little weird. Okay. I hate that you're telling me this because I don't want to believe you, but there's some weird stuff. That does sound kind of strange. Maybe I'll look into it or dig a little deeper. That's how I got started, because I thought this was only 10 years ago. Life was honky-dory, I believed what things were going on. I believed what the television told me and didn't really care. Life was good. I do care, because life is taking a twist and turn that can be not good, has been not good for a lot of people. There are a lot of people not on this planet right now due to a lot of things that I truly believe could have been preventable had people cared. But again, I want you to take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm just right. I look into things now. I question everything. Everybody doesn't have your best interests. I know you can go, oh, Peter. Oh, Peter. As I said last week, I would love to be wrong. That way I can say, okay, and maybe I will be, but chances are I'm not. And we're getting closer and closer to things coming. Even the blind are going to be able to see this. But we'll see. Anyway, so last week I touched on Maui. When the show was over, I talked about Burning Man too, how the protesters blocked the roads. We're going to touch a hair on Burning Man, but Maui's really, things changed after when the show was over. I immediately started getting bombarded with people and videos from different walks of life, people from that island that have videos, and other people saying, hey, you need to watch this. Hey, check this out. Look at this. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm telling you, it started, all of us, I believe everything happens for a reason. These things were brought to my attention for a reason. And I'm going to bring it to your attention. I am going to share these things, just like I hope that you will share these things and take it to mind and heart. I'm not doing this because I got nothing better to do. I'm doing this because I care. And there are things in this world that we may not think are fathomable or believable, but there's a lot of bad things that go on. You know, just because we're the United States and, you know, we have a great country doesn't mean like other countries hate us because there's so much manipulation and undermining because we're pretty powerful. And there's things that we don't even have a clue about that goes on daily. But other countries know because they're being affected by the monkey business and dirty tricks that go on based from our country, CIAs, all that kind of stuff. Things that you just don't think about because you're going about your normal world, especially when they keep us as busy as they do with all these problems that are going on. They're really keeping everybody occupied. Before you know it, now I'm going to have to start, bitching people out for wearing diapers again over their mouths. Everybody's using the word diapers now. They don't want to hit the keywords. That'll be a keyword soon. But I mean, the fear, everything. It's ridiculous, people. It's sinful. It's hateful. It'll all come to a head. Unfortunately, they're going to hurt a lot of people, more people, until that happens. That's why I'm asking you to just pay attention. It's not going to hurt you. Educate yourself. Decide whether it's like, okay, Peter's full of shit or Peter's got a point there. Never thought about it like that. That's the way it was for me. I don't want to be paranoid. I'm not paranoid. I just am vigilant now because I understand that nobody's going to take care of me but me. And we have to take care of each other because the government creates problems and then says, hey, we're going to help you fix it. So we become so dependent. And that's what's happening. Slaves to the grind. Anyway, so I started getting all these videos on Maui, things that are going on. Like, the media tells us that it's forest fire and it's a tragic thing and it's horrendous. I'm going to start showing you some things. I got a lot of videos tonight. I got a lot of stuff to play. Things that are like not good, but things to make you think because they're over there on a secluded island. It's really good to get isolation and they can tell us whatever they want. How are we going to know? They've cut off all kinds of communication over there. But I got some people that cut through all that are on the island and made videos through Starlinks and things like that. And people that are in the scene, but there's not many of them. I'm going to play some videos. And again, I want you to decide. I was going to take calls tonight, because again, in my mind, I thought I was going to talk about different topics and, hey, what do you think about Maui? But I feel I need to play these videos to further possibly educate you, to further maybe your knowledge base of things that you're not aware of, to further, if you are in denial and think that everything in our life in our country is good, you might want to rethink that. Again, that's for you to decide. I'm just going to present things that have been presented to me that I felt were worthy of bringing to you. Why? Because again, I care. I do. We need to stand together. They've done everything to divide us, and they've done a great job of it. But a lot more people are starting to say, this is starting to get repetitive, and fooled me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Don't fall for this crap again. So that's what I'm doing tonight. So I'm not going to be taking phone calls because I got too many videos I want to play for you, and it's important. I think it's more important to watch what's been presented to me as I present it to you than to take some phone calls. We'll get to that. I'm not going away. This stuff, we're going to be talking about these things all month long. I may even go further. Who knows? There's so much on my plate, so much of this and that. But I'm now tonight. I'm paying attention to Maui because this is just pure evil. I believe, and this isn't the first place. This isn't the first time. But we're going to talk about this now that more people are starting to be aware that things might not be as they seem. Lately, so I started getting all these videos the first 2 days after my show, and now things have kind of quieted down. They're clamping down and eliminating people and ways of communication, and so it's going to get tougher. But the people who are able to get out some of this information, things like that, God bless them, and I feel for you. I don't know what to say, but all I can tell you is if we don't start sticking together, the next people on the victims list of some way, shape, or form could be you and your family. They're going after everybody and everything. So anyway, that's what we're going to do tonight. I want to remind you, if you really want to help me out, again, because of the way I present things and talk about things that, have the borderline of being censored, I've been punished severely on YouTube. But please go to YouTube, since I'm still alive on there, and hit the subscribe button. That's the only way I'm going to beat them at their own game. If you care about anything that I'm doing, to keep on doing it, because YouTube is still a pretty big platform. But I'm having a hell of a time. I'm not being seen enough. And people aren't subscribing because you can't subscribe to something if you don't know it exists. But if you know I exist, just take a minute and go over to YouTube. Look up Peter G Show and just hit the subscribe button and the notifications. It'll tell you when the show is on. It's free. Please do me that favor. We're going to keep moving forward. I'm on a bunch of different platforms, but I'd like to be relevant on that one as well. It'll get better. I promise. One day, all this baloney and this censorship and crushing people down and shadow banning like they're doing me will all come to an end eventually. But we have to keep fighting the good fight. Please. I'm not doing this to hear myself talk. And I don't want to really talk to a bunch of like-minded people because you already know. It's the ones that are sitting on the fence. Listen, please. It's not going to hurt you. Knowledge is power. So if you listen and watch and you say, I still don't believe you, okay, I'll respect that. But just listen and watch. I'm here. You're here. Let's do this. Things might change. They changed with me. Never thought. Anyway, that's what we're doing. Please go subscribe. And for those of you who can't watch the show live, I love you for doing it. But I know life is busy. Google Peter G Show podcast. Take the show on the road with you. Put an earbud in your ear while you're driving in the car. You can listen to the one of over 300 shows. You can listen to the audio versions. I try to stay conscious about the fact that, I know it's on audio, but like even tonight, I'm going to be playing a lot of video, but the videos are very self-descriptive as well. So I don't think you're going to miss as much. I'm sure you're going to miss the footage, the photo footage of things that they're telling you about, but still there's a lot of audio description and I don't think you'll be missing as much. It's the next best thing to being able to watch. And when you do have the opportunity to watch, you can watch all these shows on demand at your convenience. So do it. Please do it. It's important. Again, I'm not doing it to hear myself talk, although I've been told that by a few angry people. But, you can't win them all. You can't please them all either. All right, what we're going to do is I want to get started, but I want to, before we get started, we just have to take a quick break and hear from my good friends over at Clean Star Products and their money-saving fuel additive DX1 driver. It saves you money and gas. All right, I'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the news, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in the oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable, and it blows all the other additives and esters out of the water.
DX1 driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to cleanstarproducts.com/shop.
That's right. DX1 driver, money-saving fuel additive. It makes sense to save money. These guys actually have something that works. So please, people, if you want more information, go over to www.cleanstarproducts. They'll talk to you. Ask them whatever you want to ask them. And by all means, tell them you saw it on the Peter G Show. Let them know I am actually doing something. Because remember, they know what I do and they still sponsor me. God bless them. Quick reminder, next week, September 13th, Wednesday, September 13th, I'm going to be back on it. More real world truth about things that are going on. I'm kind of taking it in real time too. I have a plan in my head, but if through the week things should change, I'll be shifting and talking about whatever is more valuable to the moment, more current and more important. They're all important, but I only have so much time and I can only do so much. But Wednesday, September 13th, I'm back on it. Like it or not, it's for your own good because I love you. I care about what happens to everybody. I know people are struggling. Okay. I want to start a video that that's going to give you a few facts of things that are going on in Maui. And then again, and I'll continually remind you, as you watch these videos, take them in, and it's for you to decide whether you think it's true or not. I truly believe I am not playing these for entertainment purposes only. I truly believe there's something really seriously going on over there. There's a plot, a plan, and I think they've hurt a lot of people. And someday I hope that they're going to all answer for this. Not only this, but the world. There's a lot of things that go on, but right now I'm talking about Maui, and they're suffering. And there's not much being told and talked about. It's like already being old news, and it's not over. And there's a lot of covering up and things going on. But let's listen to this guy, and again, then we'll talk about it and move on from one video to another, because I'm covering a lot of ground thanks to the people who've made these videos trying to get this information out. So here you go.
So let's make a video of facts, right? About Maui. What we do know are facts. We do know that a few months back, the Maui government leaders wanted to turn it in, and they signed the paperwork to make Maui the first smart city. But they couldn't do that. Why? Because the locals own most of the land where they wanted to start the smart city. It's been handed down from generation to generation, and the local Hawaiians do not want to sell. So this fire happens. We do know that the police blockaded the cars and the local people down on Front Street. They blocked them off. They guided them in direction. There's eyewitness after eyewitness that says that they guided them down that street and blocked that street off with 18-wheelers and patrol cars, and then they were nowhere to be seen. We do know that the Hawaiian government shut the water off the day of the fire. And we do also know that they canceled school that day, the same day this is going to happen. And there was 3,000 students missing, and only 1,000 are accounted for. So that means there's still 2,000 children missing. Where do you think they are? No one's talking about that either. None of the government officials. And oh, by the way, all the government officials were all off the island that day. Nice. How convenient, right? We know that the police chief is the same police chief that was the chief in the Las Vegas shooting, you know, where there was supposedly millions of rounds of ammunition shot from only one guy from a window. And he was the same guy. And they found nobody. They never closed the case. They never solved anything and got swept under the rug. So he's the same police chief here in Maui, who also happened to sign himself up to be the coroner. So he's the only one that can look at the dead bodies, examine them, and say how they died. Huh. Isn't that convenient too? Shit is rich right here, right? It's rich. And now we also know that after the fires, the elites and people like Zuckerberg and Oprah are trying to buy the land now for pennies on the dollar. Imagine that. Makes you think, right? What else do we know? We know that the military base on the other island is only 15 minutes away, but yet no military personnel showed up for a week and a half. How is that? How is that not the day of the fire and the next day there wasn't thousands of military personnel there to help? The only thing they've seen is FEMA, which we've all heard the stories that they're holding back the water and the food, and all the other stories that we've heard and the facts that we do know about what's really going on. So it's pretty much a shit show. Oh, and the color blue, we've all seen that too. We know that the lasers don't go through blue, and there's two of the biggest lasers in the world, one in Alaska, one in Maui, and all the fires we've seen have done a straight cut line and didn't affect the houses next door. How does that happen?
How does that happen? How does it happen? That guy's on that island, by the way. The news reports under 200 people deceased. This guy's saying there's thousands missing. Thousands. A couple of thousand children alone. A lot of fishy stuff. A lot of things. Again, they're on an island. It's really easy to seclude. No information getting out except for what they want to tell you. Even FEMA. FEMA's supposed to be like a Red Cross type thing. Something's really weird with them too. We're going to hear it in a few more videos. I mean, it may not be the FEMA you're thinking. It may be called FEMA, but there may be other people operating under that name, taking care of business over there, which is, again, beyond words. Yeah. And again, what the hell? Says Gail. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. I'm not done. We're just getting started. That's why you need to share these things if you even think that there's a hint of truth behind all this, because it sounds fantastic. It sounds like something out of a movie, but it's true. So please take all this into heart. And the only way we're going to beat these people at their own game before they take us all out is if we band together and say, okay, well, you know what? You almost fooled us. We're done, but no more. Here's a drone, some footage from drone footage of the island over there to see what's going on with the burn. This happened like days after the fire and things. So check this out.
I shot a drone video over the whole area so that you could have pictures of your home and you could share it with your insurance company. I drove my GoPro on my motorcycle so you could have images of that area for your insurance claims and also for a future litigation, because now you can't get in there. Now it's a war zone. Now it's like checkpoints and Checkpoint Charlie and guards and FBI and ATF and Army. These people have not been able to go back to their homes to get the contents of their safe. And I've heard rumors about who is rummaging through that. Again, I'm not here to spread rumors, but I'm just telling you. To not allow homeowners to go into and get their stuff is weird. To not allow press to go in there to get their stuff doesn't make sense. To not allow citizens like me to pull over on the side of the road and take pictures and videos from afar of what's going on. I can't fly my drone over there and watch the hillside for future strikes causing fires, or looking down and seeing what FEMA's doing. To block everybody out is against our constitutional rights.
Why would they want to block you out, not let you see? They hiding something? There's been fires places before. They won't let people go back in there. We'll talk about how hot the ashes were. I mean, how hot the flames were to turn to white ash. I mean, fire is a science that has been studied, for fire departments and all of that for years, on how things burn, how hot it has to be to make things burn. I touched on that last week. Most of the things that burned in that area all turned to ash, including, they claim, the bodies. Most cremations, when you're cremated, they have to grind the bones up. The bones don't, it's too hot. And they're claiming this all turned to ash. On top of that, them not wanting you to see things. They've completely curtained that whole area off. They're hiding stuff big time because they're covering up what they're doing. They are. I don't want to say land grab, but I'm going to say land grab. And we'll keep diving into it as you say, oh, Peter, you're crazy. Why would, how could everybody be in on something like this? Because they want to change the way we live. That's why. They did it to the Indians. Think about it. They did it to the Indians years ago. They wanted that land. They gave them a bunch of blankets. Here, this will keep you warm. Remember that? I mean, you weren't there. But see, that's why I'm saying if they erase history, you'll never know. They gave them a bunch of blankets laced with, with smallpox? So they all got sick and died? So if they're gone, they can't speak. Right? They can't talk if you're gone. Like on an island. If you're gone, how are you going to put up a fight? It's sickening. Dead people tell no tales, even on an island. Anyway, that's they're not letting you see anything. They're not letting you see anything. The media's cut off. The media's hardly saying anything anyway. And if they do report anything, it's just going to be the same old, tragic. And they're going to be saying what they're being told. That's all they know. And I don't trust the media anyway. So we're going to hear it from the people. I love this guy. I played him last week. I play him all the time because this is an educated guy who goes out and finds facts and can prove it. He's on TikTok until he constantly gets banned and starts new channels. They won't let him talk the truth, but that's for you to decide. But this is the Banned Beard 4 on TikTok, and he's going to give you some sensible education right here. Check this out.
So anybody that knows me or follows my accounts know I have a hard time with coincidences, especially when there's so many of them. And now I look at Maui. Again, I'm not drawing any conclusions. There's just a lot of coincidences. Number one, they declared a state of emergency 3 weeks prior to the fires. And by declaring a state of emergency, it gives the local government more authority and more power than they would have had ordinarily and allowed them to suspend certain things 3 weeks before the fire. Joe Biden has now told us that the person he tapped to handle the emergency response for the federal government was in Maui prior to the fires. It's interesting that everybody that was supposed to be or should have been on the island to deal with these emergencies were all off the island at a convention. It's a coincidence that they didn't sound the alarms because, as they stated, it would confuse the residents of Maui and they would think it was a tsunami and send them into the hills. The only problem is if you get onto their own webpage, the webpage states the sirens are to be used during a tsunami, hurricane, flood, or fire. So they contradicted their own words. Then they didn't release the water. For hours, not 1 or 2, hours. And when the assistant deputy director to natural resources or whatever his title is, when he did his press conference, he brought up capitalism and individuality and said that water shouldn't be looked at as a tool and we should be taking equity into concern or into consideration while releasing the water. Equity. Explain that to me. That we now have to decide, well, who's the water going to go to in Maui? Then after all of this, shortly right after the fire, the governor or whatever he is of Maui started talking about seizing the land for the state, which that emergency response he declared 3 weeks prior to the fire gave him authority to do. Again, I'm not even scratching the surface of the coincidences that have happened and the likelihood of things that have happened that shouldn't have happened as it relates to Maui. And then why it took our president so long to get there. And then when he did, he talked about how he potentially could have lost everything because of a small kitchen fire he had. To make it about him after he stalled and waited and had no consideration for the people of Maui. And somehow a small kitchen fire amounts to losing everything you have, from your people's lives, from pets to houses, properties, schools, banks, businesses, you name it, across the board, cars, gone. And somehow Joe Biden seems to think that declaring a kitchen fire, I literally had a kitchen fire 3 weeks ago, burn out part of my wall, oven, and microwave. I had a contractor in here and had it fixed in 2 days. You think that's somehow comparing the two? I don't know. You draw your own conclusions, but I know where mine's headed.
Do you see from the video before that was showing the drone footage talking about how tractor trailers were blocking the road, cop cars were blocking the road, how they made it difficult to let people out of that hell. They trapped people and to where they were just defenseless. Who does that? Unless you're trying to eliminate things and people. They wouldn't let them get out of there. Who does that? That's like just shutting you in the door. They might as well just, lock you in your burning house when you can normally just, if you're capable, to run out of your house. They kept people in. They kept them from getting water. There's tons of videos out there of people coming by boats, sneaking on other parts of the island, delivering water and things like that. Who does that? Nobody humane. This is what's going on over there. I promise you, this is what's going on. Because if you'll dig, and again, I get people sending me a lot of TikTok, and I look on TikTok a lot, and people, for those who think TikTok is evil, the only thing that's evil is the people that are telling you it's evil, because they want TikTok out of the way so Facebook can thrive more and all their other platforms. I don't care if it's Chinese owned or not. What are you hiding? I have nothing to hide. Let them watch the stuff I put out. If you're, having a high-end job or this and that, you just don't put your stuff on TikTok. But TikTok has a lot of truth. There's a lot of baloney on TikTok and a lot of weird stuff on TikTok. But there's a lot of people that are out there telling the truth because they're allowed to. I mean, before it gets taken down, this guy gets banned constantly. Like, these videos only last so long and then they get taken down. But he doesn't stop. He keeps on putting out things because he looks for the answers. But who would trap you and not let you get out of that hell? The authorities, cop cars, and no water to put out fires. So I guess everything's just got to burn to the ground. Things that shouldn't have caught fire are just going to catch fire. Doesn't make any sense, right? And in other words, like they're just allowing it to just go, rampant. Then on top of that, oh, by the way, for those of you who are watching from some other platforms and trying to comment, if you want comments for me to be seen live while we're doing the show, I need you to be on either the Facebook official Peter G Show page or YouTube Peter G Show. I can't see your comments unless you're on there. If you're on other platforms, I'll see the comments by tomorrow when I'm flipping through, checking things out, things like that. But if you have something you feel is valid that needs to be seen or heard, I urge you to go to, and watch the show from my YouTube channel. I mean, just basically like this. If I see a comment and it's like, oh, look, Gail says government is behind it all. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. That's what we can do. I'm going to let your voices be heard too. But everybody would say, no, not our government. Why would they do this to their own people? Because they don't care. Only the higher ups, the elites. All these people, the WHO or the not the world, not the WHO, the other one, Soros and all those guys, they're smart. They're know better. They're all knowing for us little ants. They know what's best for us. We'll own nothing and we'll be happy. They're trying. We're not going to let them, but they're trying. They just keep on taking away more and more pieces. And if you think like the California fires and Canadian fires, if you think all this stuff, this is just stuff so they keep crying climate change. We must eliminate more people and don't eat meat and cows fart and bury trees into the ground. Again, I'll have more on climate change because even the Banded Beard, he's really good at that, and he gives some great explanations about really what's happening about the so-called climate change, which there is none, but they've put it in your brain, and because we have a couple of hot days, yeah, sure, it's climate change. No, we had hot days before. Come on, we did. Anyway, okay, so they have isolated that whole part of Maui. They've put up a wall of black curtain, so to speak, which they're calling it dust screens. So you can't see anything. You can't see anything unless you're led into the gate. It's like a giant, prisoners big jail. Nobody in, nobody out unless you're authorized. They're not even letting people go and get what's left of their stuff. Some people own safes and things like that, and can't go in there. Can't go in there. It's deemed hazardous. Only the authorized people can go in there so they can manipulate everything, do away with everything. That way there's nothing to talk about. No proof. Covering their tracks. Check this video out, and it gives you a quick example.
Dust screen, which does a couple things. It actually blocks.
You mean this dust screen right here? Yeah, that's the dust screen that was put up to preserve the disaster area. But no other place that ever had fires did this. Wonder why is that? Also, the EPA sprayed a film over Lahaina on Thursday, deeming it inhabitable. It hasn't come out yet, but it's about to. This is how they're going to claim eminent domain and have nobody living in Lahaina. Now, you can believe me or not, but everything I have said up to this point has been on point. The information that I received about this film being sprayed by the EPA was from people who sat in on the meeting. And no, I'm not going to tell you who they were, because then they no longer can sit in on the meetings and get all this information, right? So believe me, don't believe me, that's up to you. Either we all stand together with Lahaina and against this corrupt government, or we just continue jabba-jabba-jawing on the sidelines on TikTok. What is it going to be, Lahui? Are we standing with Lahaina to fight this corrupt government and make sure our people keep their land? Or are you just going to jabba-jaw on social media?
A dust screen. Who the hell? She's right. We've never done that anywhere. And it's not even, how much dust is it going to catch from, from there? It's to block off so you can't see in. It's real simple. It's so you can't see in. And they claim they sprayed something over to keep down everything, the contaminants and this and that. I don't believe them for a second. They probably sprayed water. And they're going to claim that now it's inhabitable and hazardous. Who are you going to question? The EPA? They've got that under control too. They're going to tell us whatever they tell us. Yes, it's poisonous. You can't go in there. When it's probably not. And then little by little, as time goes on, they're going to clean it all up, and then time is going to pass, and that's that. They're going to say it's inhabitable. The people that still own properties that want to stay there can't stay there. I promise you. Think about it. It's an evil, evil ass plan. They've already done evil by killing all these people. There's tons of people missing. God knows where the hell they are. A couple of other videos that are going to give you an example of where they might be. It's just evil. And you're going, there's no way. There's no way anybody can do such a thing. And I'm telling you, way. Because the way they look at it, it's collateral damage for the better cause. Because we're not as wealthy as they are, and they know better. And they're all in on it. They're all in on it. Pieces of shit. Bothers the hell out of me. I swear I was watching these things and it just gets to me. It's like, I can't believe we've gotten to this point to where life is gotten this critical and bad, where they just don't give a damn. No longer can you just live your life in peace. But if we stick together, we can eliminate these guys. There's not that many of them. The people that are trying to take over all this stuff, there's not that many. A couple of thousand of them. We're in the millions, billions. But we all have to stand together. Believe me, they'll fold. They folded decades ago. They tried to do this back years ago, before I was born, and it failed. So it just takes a long time to get up to it. You've heard of the 2030 agenda? That's what they're talking. Remember that name if you haven't heard of it. They're figuring by 2030, they're going to have everything. Everything's going to be restructured. You just, again, slave to the grind. You do what they say, you live under their terms, and you'll be fine. Just worker bees. Sad. This one's a little deep. This one's going to be really, again, sounds fantastic, but this one's going to tell you about things that are going on behind the scenes that you're never going to hear this stuff. And you can take this and go, this is way too crazy, or not. Because crazier things have happened, because, again, the end result's going to come out one day, and all this is going to be overcome, I pray. But check this out. This is, again, even if you're skeptical, just have it in your head, keep it in your head, and always have it in your thoughts, because things are changing rapidly. But check this out.
Breaking news. 36 ex-military elite special force members showed up in Maui to help the people and arrested some of the local police for treason to the country. Wait, is this real? Yes. No, you didn't hear about it in the news, nor will you ever. Do you think it was wildfires? Definitely not. If you do, you're an idiot. There's been enough proof. You've seen enough. It sucks that I only have 3 minutes because I can't even tell this whole freaking what I've learned in 3 minutes, but I'm going to try to make it short. Somebody that we all know who's on TV almost every night in America. He's not Trump, but he's almost as famous, and he used to own a professional sports team. They're in Maui. They've been for over a week. His right-hand man is great friends, been for years with my store manager of my business, who's been with me for 15. And he's an ex-police officer also, and his father is an ex-Army Ranger. So anyway, they've been there for a week trying to hand out water. The police have been trying to stop them, but they got 20 security guards with them, and they've been bowling their way on and giving the water out. 2 days ago, he calls my manager and says, "You're not going to believe this shit. Craziest thing I've ever seen. We're here trying to help out the people, and we see 6 of those military type rafts you see, like, on TV with the 50 cals in the front. 6 of them come flying up to the docks, and they get out, and it's these monster dudes, special forces." He said, and they pretty much just take over the whole dock. They take over the acting police officers are there, make them, their guns drawn, rifles drawn, like, put your guns down, make these officers put their guns down and take it over and tell all them cops that, they're arrested for treason to the country. These guys aren't acting on U.S. military. These are ex-military guys. He said he started talking to some of the guys. They're ex-Navy SEALs. They're Rangers. They got patches on, SEALs, Rangers, ex-Marines, stuff like that. He started talking to all of them to find out who they are, what they're there. Like, we're U.S. citizens. We come here to help. These guys, this is treason to the country. We're here to help the local people. So the locals start telling them how they have all their food captive. Yeah, there's 2-3 containers a quarter mile up the road. They won't let us even get any of it. So they got 6 guys. They go over there, 3 more officers, take them in control, get to the containers and start giving out food and water. You don't hear about this on the news. Of course you're not going to hear about this on the news. This guy is there on the ground. He's calling us. He's like, you wouldn't believe what just happened a couple hours ago. He said, it is crazy. It's the craziest scene I've ever seen. I've been in war scenes. I've been, at war times, he said, but this island looks worse than anything I've ever seen. He said, the people are going mad. The people are about to cause and start a revolution. They are pissed. They are furious. He said, they don't know. No one's talking to them. No one's on the media. No one's letting this word get out.
Sounds kind of crazy, right? I don't doubt one bit of it. There's way more getting ready to come, not just in Maui. Because again, people are getting ready to have enough. There's a lot of people that love this country. They're saying it's getting out of hand. All I'm saying is, for those of you watching that aren't in Hawaii on that island, thank your God that right now you have the ability to look at this show and say, oh, I'm full of crap, or, oh my God, I can't believe this kind of stuff is happening, regardless of which way you want to go. Because if you were on that island, you may not be watching anything. You may not be alive. I don't believe it was a natural fire. I don't. There's way more videos out there that just talk about how everything was just mapped out, how it took out certain things and didn't take out certain things, and I believe it. But we're getting deeper into it, and that's why I'm bringing it to your attention, because I don't know, I love my family and friends, and I would hope you do too. And if you want to live through this time period we're going through, you better stand up and at least let it be known that you know. You have to speak. If you don't speak, you're just killing everybody around you. It's going to do no good. Doesn't matter if you hurt a few people's feelings. They'll get the picture. You might be saving their lives in the future. This next video is about FEMA, and the FEMA that we should, trust, know, and love that comes to your aid. But I don't believe that this is the FEMA that is over there. And but again, that's for you to decide. So check this out.
So FEMA's deputy administrator, Eric Hooks, was arrested was fake news. Or was it? Let's talk about it. The false report says that over 250 bodies were found with bullet holes, and those bodies were being covered up in mass grave sites. Not only were they being buried, they were being buried by FEMA agents. Now riddle me this. If the FEMA agents were burying at least 250 bullet-riddled bodies, what exactly were they trying to cover up? Now, for sakes of entertainment, let's just play this out. If FEMA operatives had killed American citizens, this would be an act of war from the government directly to the American people. If this were true, this would be the gas needed to fuel the revolutionary fire of the United States. If there are over 250 bodies riddled with bullets, that would mean that those American civilians were attacked by our government's FEMA operatives, and they were trying to cover it up. Could you imagine what Americans would do if what I'm saying is true? They did say that the natives refused to sell their homes and land, so maybe this just got a little bit too ugly. Maybe the natives tried to fight back. I mean, but what can you do when you have guns and they have a death ray that can burn down your entire island? So what if that really happened? The media can't tell you that happened, because then they would be fueling the revolution. People, I think this is something that we all might want to look a little deeper into. So if you all can find any information out that might be worth listening to or actually paying attention to, be sure to tag me in it. But what if FEMA operatives actually kill American citizens and try to cover it up? That would be fucked up. So America, what would you really do if you found out that there were over 250 bullet-riddled bodies on that island in Hawaii, and FEMA was really trying to cover it up?
No way, right? No way. I say way. If they want something and they off you, then you can't put up a fight. There's nobody to argue with in courts, and there's no protests, and there's no nothing. So they shut the whole place, they isolate it off, and wipe out whatever's left over there that they can. Who's going to tell? I know it sounds really horrific. It's like, no way. But I'm telling you, this is an evil world we're living in. And they're doing it in their minds for the good of the planet, for them, the elites. I say all this stuff is possible. It's not just baloney, and it's not just a movie, because it's not. It's reality. Things like this get done in, what do you think, in Africa, all those tribes and they all have their little armies. They go into a village, they wipe out the village. Who's going to tell? It's the same thing. We're just doing it on a much slicker process because, there's a lot of eyes. Now we got cameras, phones, and this is why some of this stuff is getting out. So far, I haven't seen any proof of the bodies or this and that, but they get in there, they get rid of them, they dig ditches, bury them all. It's like, when nobody can see. Where are they going to, only a chosen few are going to know what's going on. Then they're going to start scooping up all the debris and all that. Then, it's almost like trying to do an autopsy on a body. But if you already cremate the body, well, then, oh, wow, we can't go back and I think there was a trace of, this or that, and we wanted to check. Sorry, too late. The body's been cremated. Same thing, just a different scale, and they can do it. And they more than likely have. And it's just plain sinful. Sinful. What can you do for Maui? It's what you can do for the whole country. You have to keep sharing this stuff. You have to keep talking about it because people have to stand up and not just play blind. They can't get away with this stuff if we're all onto them and we bust them on it. We can't fix what's already done, but we could prevent what's going to happen. And more things are going to happen. It could happen to you, your neighborhood, your town, your city. It's going to, piece by piece. They got plans. They want to make that place that new green 15-minute city and all that, and nothing's going to stop them. And now you see what's happened. Coincidence, all these coincidences. And how'd they do it? Now here comes the next fantastic part. We talk about lasers and all these weapons. Let me tell you, they've had these secret weapons, and that's why they're called secret weapons, for decades. Decades. I remember my father telling me, does anybody remember, I don't know how many years ago this was. Was it 20 years ago? There was a huge tsunami that wiped out Indonesia, like islands in Indonesia. I mean, it just flattened. People were just gone. Huge. I remember my father telling me, this was years ago when I was visiting. I was back home and spending some time, and I don't know how it came up, but it came up. And my father goes, they have the government. They have weapons that can create, in other words, he's saying they got weapons that can create earthquakes, tsunamis, catastrophes, things like that. And I just, okay, Dad. They do. There's more and more of this stuff coming out now over in Antarctica, all these things that are going on. Sounds crazy. Say what you want, but they do. So lasers are something they've been playing with lasers for God knows how long. All they did was build bigger and bigger ones, and they're very controllable. And they got them mounted on airplanes now, and they could shoot from miles away. At the speed of sound or speed of light. What am I talking about? The speed of light. And if you don't think it's true and you don't think it happens, and geographic mapping now with computers at precision, it's like almost like, how they're doing things with lasers. I mean, tools, they can cut out they can cut through inch thick metal in a second, and if you program and it tells the laser where to go and what to do. That's what they did over there. They mapped it out. Think I'm crazy? Okay. But keep it in the back of your head. Keep it in the back of your head, because more and more is going to come out. I pray to God that all this and some heads are going to roll before too much more damage is done. But I don't know how the plan works or what's going on, but it's coming to a head. It has to be. We can only take so much more of this before we're doomed. I hate being this guy. I want to have fun on this show. I do. But that's why I'm doing this now, so we can get this out of the way, make them pay for what they've done, and start moving in a more positive forward motion. I always want to bring informative stuff to you, but this is horrible. But I'm doing this for your own survival and for our survival. We only can beat them by strength in numbers. by saying, yeah, I'm onto your ass. This ain't going to fly. And we speak loudly. They'll get the message. Believe me, they'll get the message because they can easily be beaten. But because they're so friggin' powerful, because they got a lot of money, and a lot of people are just sticking their heads in the sand. I mean, just like hear no evil, see no evil. I want to show you a little bit about the DEW, which is direct energy weapons that do exist, that I think they're using them more now than ever, blaming it on forest fires and all that. But you can't have that much stuff burn up that fast and that big of a fire starts at one little area and then spreads, but when you got masses going on and it's taking everything down in one big giant group, something's up. Something's really seriously up. But check this out, and we'll get right back to you.
Did you know that there are 2 sites in the U.S. that have these directed energy weapons? One is Nevada and the other is Maui. Let's start with this directed energy Air Force Maui optical and supercomputing AMOS site located on the island of Maui. May I quote from the website? Listen to this. Directed energy harnesses the power of the electromagnetic spectrum to enable airmen to effectively and affordably strike critical targets at the speed of light. Question: why Maui? Answer: it's a new smart grid in Hawaii dubbed the, quote, Jump Smart Maui project.
Sound too fantastic? Can't be possible? Just keep it in your head. I'm hoping it triggers your curiosity to dig deeper. Don't go down the rabbit holes. Be sensible about everything, but it's for your own good. All this stuff exists, people. There can't be so many people from all over the places with the same stories. It's just not possible. And these are people who care. They're not just doing this because they want attention. There's things going on. Let's talk about rich people. I mean, really wealthy people. And no, I'm not rich. I had a comment. Michelle, I happen to see it, and it's not on the comments, but I got other monitors from the other platforms, which again, I urge you to comment on the YouTube platform so I can see your comments. But I happen to in between because I got a lot of videos playing, so it gives me a little bit of time. And somebody wrote that their daughter says that I look rich. It's like, Jesus. If it was true, I'd tell you. I really would, because I'd be proud of it, because I've worked my ass off. I have for years. Anybody who knows me knows that I've been in entertainment my entire life, scratching and clawing, had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but here I am. Ta-da! Because I have a job to do. This is my purpose. So I want to make my purpose worthy of. Someday when I'm no longer around, I want to go down with people saying, you know what? He was all right. He was all right. That'll be on my epitaph. Here lies Peter G. He was all right. Oh, boy. Anyway, let's talk about rich, wealthy people, because this one really got me, because I got to tell you, well, I'll let the video talk first, and then we'll go off of that. But this one's pretty self-explanatory, and so check it out, because the rich are clueless, and they're part of the evil too. Not all rich people, but there are people in this world that are part of the whole thing that's going on with this country and our elites and all that. They have lost the connection with people, and it's only about them. So this is the right one, right? Yeah, here we go. Check this out.
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui that we were texting back and forth.
2 people worth a combined over $3 billion were so concerned about hundreds of people being burnt to death and the state of Hawaii calling for a media blockout that they started texting back and forth.
And I read this article that Dolly Parton had given money in her community. And I said, I think this is the answer. You said, I think that's the answer.
I said, I love it.
Yeah, it is absolutely well known that Dolly Parton gives back tons of her own money to Gatlinburg and the surrounding areas, Sevierville, Pigeon Forge in Tennessee, that she sets up book donations for all of the children in the area, that they get free books, that she gives a lot of her own money.
And so we have created the People's Fund of Maui that will put money directly in the hands of the people who need it right now. So if you send a donation, just click where you see below and send a donation. That money is going to go to one of many residents who have been displaced in Maui. We guarantee.
So in other words, nothing like what Dolly Parton does, where she gives her own money. You, two people worth over a combined $3 billion, set up a donation fund, the People's Fund of Maui, which, playing off of the People's Champ thing, Rock, really? God damn. But you set up a fund where everybody else can donate when you already own thousands of acres of land in Maui, Oprah, and you guys are worth enough money that without even missing it, it would not affect your guys' lifestyles at all. You could literally rebuild all of Lahaina yourself.
Right. I know a lot of people out there, as Oprah and I have been finding, are just having a hard time trusting where the money goes.
Of course, people are having a hard time trusting that you and Oprah will give the money that they donate to the people of Lahaina, because you two are worth billions of dollars asking other people who are struggling in a very seriously hard economy to donate money for you to then give to people. Like, how stupid do you fucking think people are? You at the very least benefit from this because it looks good for your public image.
What organizations should I send money to? How can I help? In this case, the fund that we created with a lot of hard work from a lot of hardworking people who all care about these people of Maui. As Oprah was saying, it is a clean, direct from you directly to their hands, and right away with some real immediacy, because as we're finding, as you guys around the world know, with disasters like this, the number one need is money.
Is money. Is money.
In hand.
If only you two knew people with a lot of money. How beneficial would that be? How beneficial would it be if you knew people that, I don't know, were worth billions of dollars, that had access to a lot of money very quickly or immediately, that could just give it over to the people of Lahaina and give it over to the people of Maui? Instead, you know, since you don't apparently know people with a lot of money, you had to have people work really hard to set up this donation fund. If only you guys knew people with money.
And so people being able to have their own agency, being able to make decisions for themselves about what they need and what their family needs, that's our goal, is to get that to the people now. And so we appreciate any support that you can give. All the people who were calling me and texting me and messaging me and saying, what do I do? What do I do? This is what you do. You know. The People's Fund of Maui.
Those two ending that video laughing and smiling seems just really appropriate for how disgusting they are. Have a nice day.
It's all bullshit. Their fund is all bullshit. They look good. And believe me, a lot of people have caught on. Oprah is catching so much shit. And let me tell you, Oprah, through the years, she started out with nothing, and then built herself up. She's not one of us anymore. She's part of the problem now. It's all about the elite, and she's one of them. The Rock got in on it now. I was going to do a thing on Hollywood, all the evil going on in Hollywood, but I haven't even had time to. Hollywood is breaking up. It's all coming out. You see some of these artists like Dave Chappelle and Ice Cube, and they're all talking against all this shit because they know they've been put up against all this stuff and had to deal with it. And now they're being ousted for speaking up and against them. Oprah is catching so much shit. There's so many people going, how screw her. Yeah, she's buying up all the land. She's got all these undercover companies already. They're she's bought thousands of acres this year alone. There's a plan going on for the elite. Screw Oprah. When all this stuff. She lives over in Santa Barbara. Same thing. She's got so much money. Doesn't care about you. but people, you know, loved her. I mean, because she was a likable person. But it is things are not what they seem. It's all a big front. We are just the peons. You are just little ants. I was going to talk about that stuff too, but in the future, what it's like to live as an ant. When you're looking and you're walking on the sidewalk and you see these ants and they're this big and we're that tall. And we step on them as we're walking. No big deal, right? That's us to them. Biggest bunch of bullshit. Oh, but by the way, I wanted to say that there was another video. Somebody talked about the fund that they set up. Number one, I hate nonprofits, because nonprofits are, the word is the farthest from the truth. There's tons of profit going on in a nonprofit. The CEOs and all the people that are the executives that from the step down, they make a ton of money. And this nonprofit wasn't just put together. They got it from something in the entertainment industry, some nonprofit that's already in place, and they just quickly legally added on another name to this nonprofit. But it's some company that's already together, and it's public. You can go in records to find out how much these people in the nonprofits, almost like Goodwill. You can find out how much the CEOs of Goodwill and everything make, because Goodwill doesn't do as much goodwill as you would think they do. They really don't. The only goodwill they have is lining their own pockets. And then they shove out and throw out, they have to give out so much money, but there's so much money that they're not. And the CEO of this nonprofit is making about $400,000 a year as a CEO of managing these nonprofits, including now this Maui nonprofit. The person underneath that top executive is making about $250,000, $250,000 a year. And again, I had to pick and choose what videos I want to play because there's only so much time and we're already over time. But I have to play this stuff so you'll see what's really going on. Bullshit. These people are huge, with money, and they're asking poor people to donate money. It's just sickening. It's sickening. And people will give it too, because no matter how poor somebody is, if you have a heart, you're going, these people have lost everything in their lives too. There's more that's going to come out of this. It's going to be beyond gut-wrenching. You watch. But here's one more little Oprah nonprofit video, and I hope this sets in. And again, spread the word, people. Share all this stuff. Let them know that we know. Screw them. We have to take over, and that's it. Check this out.
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui.
You're so concerned about what's happening in Maui that you somehow managed to hire a private firefighting team to protect your land before the fires started. You're so concerned about what's happening in Maui that instead of taking some of that land and housing even a small portion of those displaced people, you've hired a private security team to keep them off your land. You're so concerned about Maui that you simply haven't had time to denounce any of the shady real estate deals which are robbing people of everything they have, like the ones you were involved in that helped you acquire that land for pennies on the dollar of what it was actually worth. You're so concerned about Maui that instead of taking what would amount to a year's salary for you and 4 or 5 of your billionaire friends, which could be used to rebuild the entire place in a matter of months, you're jumping on social media and asking the American public, most of whom can't afford to pay their rent right now, to do it for you. You're so concerned about Maui that it's more important that you get social media points than that you help.
Gotta watch the guy with the spatula. Spatulas can do some damage. I know that from growing up as a kid. Doesn't make sense, does it? They're real concerned. It's part of the plan. They don't want it to happen fast. It's all got to take place because they don't want to give that land back to those people. They want to buy it all, create their dream smart city and all this crap. And they'll probably get away with this one. It's all hush hush. How the hell does Oprah hire people to protect her property from fire weeks in advance? Because when the fire hit, you can't just call up somebody and go, I need a bunch of people to protect my property. There's no way. Weeks in advance, she's got people on guard to make sure her stuff doesn't burn. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? And maybe you say it's hearsay and that's not true. I haven't heard it anyplace else. I promise you, most of you haven't heard any of this stuff, period. So I'm the crazy guy. But I promise you. And I thank all these people with the guts to make these videos and put them out there. So I'm going to utilize them to put them out there because that's what they're meant for. And I hope you guys do too. If anything, at least take all this knowledge and keep it in your head. I've said it a million times tonight. Do not let this stuff just go in one ear and out the other. Even if you don't believe it, just keep it there for just in case. Just in case I'm right. Just in case these people are telling the truth, which I truly believe they are. Nobody wants to make this kind of crap up. There's way more things to do in life than be talking about this stuff, but it's happening. And all I've said, again, be thankful you weren't the ones over there, that are either perished or dealing with trying to survive over there while they're trying to take everybody out to that way less people can speak out against everything. So they can just wipe everything out, erase all that history, and just start with a clean slate with nobody going against them. It's sad. One last video, and this is one more from the band Beard 4 from TikTok because he pretty much wraps everything up. And again, he's got a million videos that make a lot of sense about everything. So I'd go subscribe to him on TikTok, the band Beard 4. And if he gets canceled, he'll start up another page and you'll find him again. He's got a plethora of knowledge because he's not a friggin' idiot and he's not afraid to talk about it. But this pretty much wraps it up. We are way over, but I have to finish this up. So check this out. This pretty much sums it all up.
So how bold is your government getting? They're literally telling us now that they can manipulate the weather. They can do it through seeding clouds. They can do it with lasers. They claim to have these little weather-making facilities across the country, including places like Colorado and Utah, for helping in snow and things of that nature. We've seen the chemtrails all across the country. We know that something as simple as dust can change the atmosphere, change the temperature, because when you have sub-Saharan dust going across the Atlantic into the Gulf, what do we not see? We don't see development of storms. See, and that's what's happening this year. We had a lot of sub-Saharan dust in the air, and no storms have formed to cool down the air, so then we have these heat waves. And then all we hear is climate change, climate change, climate change. And it's funny, because if the government has that level of ability to change the weather, you don't think they would manipulate the weather in a manner that makes it look like climate change? How about in New Zealand? I mean, they were seeding the clouds and then a few days later had one of their worst floods ever, and the people were demanding answers and it was dead fucking silent. Crickets. But you don't think the government would ever use that for bad to get you to think that there's climate change in order for you to voluntarily give up your freedom in the name of climate lockdowns or in the name of all of this nonsense that's going on today. Because the only way to give up freedom in the United States is to willingly give it up. Now, we've already had climate lockdowns. It was called COVID lockdowns, in which everything was shut down. There wasn't any air travel. You know what didn't go down? CO2 levels. Why? Because they're at one of their lowest points in the history of the world. CO2 levels today are lower than they were pre-World War I. But yet we're screaming CO2 levels. The reason why they didn't go down, number one, is because they're so low already. And number two, 99% of them are naturally occurring. CO2 levels are like 0.04% of 1% in the atmosphere, which is nothing. It doesn't manipulate weather. It doesn't hold heat in the air. That's the biggest scientific turd I've ever heard in my life. Now, NASA's also claiming that the heat wave could be related to an underwater volcano that exploded in 2022, shooting massive amounts of water vapor into the air. You know what holds heat in the atmosphere? Water vapor. You know what keeps storms from developing? Dust. But your government is claiming that they can manipulate the weather, and you think they would only use it for good. And then you claim that they can't start fires. See, then the fires that do start, like in Hawaii, strategically, all of a sudden, those are climate change. I've never seen a fire start by climate change. I've seen fires start with lasers. I've seen fires start with those little handheld little magnifying glasses. I've seen fires start from matches, from down power lines, exploding transformers, campfires not put out, arson, hot cars sitting on dry grass. But our government claims that they can manipulate the weather And Biden says that we've spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a climate change facility, and nobody bothered to ask a follow-up question to that. But you don't think our government can start a fire? It's fucking laughable.
Make any sense? It's all true. I just want to share this stuff with you guys. I hope that you'll share it. I want to thank again all these people who've made these videos and are trying to get the message across. And these are all people that don't know each other. None of them know each other. They're all seeing and showing this stuff because it's true. Because they care. Because I care. If you want to be a slave to the grind, which is what they're working towards, the weak are going to perish. They're always the first to go. But there's some of us that aren't going to go down without a fight, and I hope that it's you too. You'll speak up. You don't have to do a whole lot. All you have to do is make everybody know that you're aware of what's going on, and this shit's not going to fly. Word gets around. Enough of us start bitching about it, they'll back down. They don't have a choice. There's not that many of them. Their money can't. There's too many of us. But it's real, folks. It's real. I want to remind you, next week, Wednesday, September 13th, I'm going to be back at it again. More real world talk. I may be talking on this some more, or I'm moving on to other things, but I want you to take all this because I'm not doing this to hear myself talk. I'm telling you these things to make sure that you are possible. Who had no idea about any of this stuff? Raise your hand. If you had no idea of any of this stuff, or maybe a little bit, but you really weren't aware of what's going on over there, raise your hand. It's okay. Don't be shy. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. That's why we're doing this. Raise your hand. See? But now you know. Or at least the thought is there to where you're going to keep an eye out now. Go, something, all right, it's kind of hard to believe, but I'm going to be paying attention now and then more and more things are going to start popping up around you because you're opening up your mind. And you're going to start seeing the things that were right there in front of you that you just didn't pay attention to because life is busy. But people are dying. And again, it doesn't affect you until it affects you. And it will. And then it's too late. A lot of people over there that won't be coming home for dinner. Just sad. So next Wednesday, September 13th, more real world stuff. Like it or not, if I hurt your feelings, I'm sorry. I'm doing it for your benefit. Love me or hate me. But it's for your own good because I love you. Wednesday, September 13th. Right here on Life of Peter G, The Peter G Show. Final reminder, and please, if you're commenting, you need to comment on the YouTube channel or on the official Facebook Peter G Show channel. If you're commenting on the other couple of Facebook channels I have and other places that I'm on, I can't see them live. I'll see them eventually, but I cannot see them live. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please go over there. They have shadow banned me. They have throttled me down. I'm having a hard time being seen. If anything you do for me, for what I put into this to try to enlighten you and you think it's worthy of, please just take a second and go over to YouTube. Please. Look up the Peter G Show. Just hit the subscribe button. It's free. I'm not charging any money. Everybody's like, why don't you do Patreon and all these things? So I need money. This show it takes money to run this show. But I'm not going to take your money. I'm not going to do it. I need sponsors. Bigger ones. I love my Clean Star Products sponsor. But I need more because it's expensive. I'm going to be talking about that too because I've dug into my own pocket for years because I believe in what I'm doing. And I'll continue because I believe in what I'm doing. Hope I see you guys next week. I do. Every Wednesday, Life of Peter G, The Peter G Show, like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing, because I truly believe that I need all the help I can get for me and for you. Doesn't hurt. I love you guys. I really do. I'm going to remind you, regardless of all these things, I know it was, kind of like Peter the Bummer. but I have to make you aware of this stuff. And despite all this, I want you to still be kind. Think before you speak. You don't have to be an ass, but you definitely don't have to take a bunch of crap from people. You don't. You don't. Last one. Look, see, when I tell you to raise your hand, I'm raising my hand. Don't be shy. Raise your hand. If you're not aware of this stuff, it's okay. You got to start somewhere. Gail's raising her hand. That's one. That's one more than what I think I had last week. She is now aware, and she's going to be looking for things. That's what it is. Everybody's, I started at my time in my journey. You're starting in your part of your journey. But we are in deep shit, people. We are in trouble. Don't let it hit our own backyards. I love you guys. I really do. Hope to see you here each and every week. Please write to me. Tell me what you think, what you don't think. What do you think? What would you like me to do, to say, shows, guests, how I'm doing, what I'm doing. Support. We have to support each other. We have to support each other. I don't want a pat on the back. I want you to find people to raise my numbers, to get me to where I can get on a bigger level, to keep on going stronger. Only way I can do that is if you support me. You subscribe to the YouTubes. You pass the word, get people to subscribe. Numbers. The business people, they want to see numbers. I know we're way bigger than things look. I know it for fact because I'm spread out all over the place. That's the problem. I'm too all over the place. We didn't just focus on one avenue, but we're there, and I'm not going away. So again, thank you for watching. My name is Peter G. You're watching Life of Peter G, The Peter G Show, each and every Wednesday. I hope you'll tune in again, and I hope you'll take all these shows, especially this one now, and pass it on. Pass it on. Spread the word. Help others. A lot of people can't help themselves. As always, I truly love you guys. That's why I'm doing this. Peace out.
Peter G Show. Peter G Show. Divorce dad. Single dad. Divorce dad. Single dad. Peter G Show.